The entrance to the French cave of Le Cunhac lies across a river and can be a dark, shady place to dive, just like in today's episode on the DiveSAGA channel. Welcome back to the picturesque Dordogne region in France, a place that arguably holds the title of European cave country. It's a beautiful early morning as we set up our equipment for today's cave dive. I'm using my trusted X-Deep side mount harness with the KISS Sidewinder Rebreather attached to it. For those of you who are not familiar with the Sidewinder, it is essentially a very modular and fairly small rebreather unit that is designed specifically to be integrated within a side mount system. That means the diver not only has access to their rebreather, but also to a complete set of redundant side mount cylinders. It does take some work to set up and integrate properly into the harness, but once in the water it adds very little bulk to the streamlined side mount setup, and that is what makes it a popular choice among cave divers. Le Cunhac sits in the Lot department, an area famous for karst plateau landscapes, dramatic gorges and dozens of caves. The Lot region, the limestone country that hosts famous show caves and prehistoric galleries, is also a stronghold for technical cave diving. Unlike the big tourist caves with floodlit walkways, Cunhac is quiet, unadorned and primarily known to local and visiting cave divers. Geologically, Cunhac is a karst spring cave, a resurgence where an underground river meets the surface. The main underwater passage is largely shallow for much of its length, but finishes with a steep drop to depths approaching 50 meters. What makes Le Cunhac interesting is that the entrance of the cave is on the other side of the Lot River. So we have to gear up and be dive ready before crossing the river to start our cave dive. This can of course only be done when the Lot River currents allow it. But when it does, and when the weather is nice, like today, the view is quite spectacular, and the swim to the other side just adds to the adventure. We did hear reports that the visibility in Le Cunhac has not been amazing in recent days. Nevertheless, we've packed our cameras and some lights to see if we can capture the dive.
Well, hello everyone. If you're a long-time viewer of the DiveSAGA channel, then you know that there's a video on this channel about a talk I gave about filmmaking in challenging environments, which is definitely what we're doing in this episode. I gave that talk at ADEX Singapore. That's a scuba diving trade show. In my opinion, one of the best ones. I go to a lot of scuba diving trade shows on every continent, and I think genuinely ADEX has the best energy. Like, I really feel good there. And 2026, April 10 to 12, I'll be there again. I'll be speaking there again, and I would like to invite you guys. Last time I had the opportunity to hang out with some of you, which I always really enjoy. I like knowing who all of you are, and if we can have some time to just chat and catch up and talk about your diving, then that's awesome. So April 10 to 12 in Singapore, I'll be at ADEX Ocean Festival, and I would like you guys to join me if you can. ADEX supports the DiveSAGA channel a lot, and I like to support them. That's just how that goes. I'll put a link below also to their socials. You should probably follow them and DiveSAGA, because we have some cool initiatives coming up together that I would also like you to be a part of. Now, let's get back to the video.
We've reached the other side of the Lot River and the entrance to Le Cunhac.
You guys know what we always say on the DiveSAGA channel: the more special the entrance to the dive site, probably the more special the dive. Look at this.
At least at the mouth of the cave, it's immediately apparent that the visibility is limited. But that could certainly be sediment from the riverbed. And since the cave typically produces flow outwards, it's possible that we'll find clearer water inside. For those who were interested in the KISS Sidewinder configuration we discussed earlier, here on Diver Ruben you can clearly see the small rebreather canisters sitting on top of the side mount cylinders. We found the entrance of Le Cunhac cave and the system line that leads inside. It looks as if the line could almost have slipped into a line trap. A line trap is when the cave line has slid into a position where the diver couldn't reach it during a blind exit, so we double check to confirm before proceeding further into Le Cunhac. The information we have seems to be correct. The visibility is not the greatest. I know that to many of you this may be much better than some of the caves you're accustomed to, but for shooting a well-lit and clear episode, these conditions are not the greatest. If you pay attention to the right side of the screen, you can see the particles floating in the water. Besides reducing the visibility, they also reflect light back, making for much less contrasty images. Something to pay extra attention to in Le Cunhac is the quality of the line. Not because it was poorly laid, but because the floors and walls have razor-sharp edges, so many sections of the line will have been repaired. Before swimming over a repaired line, it's essential to check the quality of that repair by giving it a good pull, like right here. Despite the subpar visibility and the challenges that brings with it, I think we're able to get reasonable footage. For those who are curious, I have my Insta360 Ace Pro 2 set to 4K 60 frames per second. I've capped the ISO value manually at 800 and I'm shooting in the iLog color profile. The final result that you see here has of course been color graded. If you do not plan on color grading afterwards, I would advise to use a different color mode instead of iLog. The limited visibility and muted colors create a spooky ambience, and actually I love it. Sometimes cave diving can be spectacular and crystal clear with wide open galleries and endless visibility. But sometimes the vibe is different. When the water is milky like this, it's also important to pay even closer attention to the line. This is of course always necessary, but in milky water, the line can blend in easily with the background, and it can be easier to lose track. It seems like we're about to reach our turning point. As mentioned earlier, Le Cunhac stays fairly shallow for several hundred meters before finally dropping off dramatically, and it seems that we have reached that drop-off. Although people often say that it seems terrifying to not know what's below you, it's actually one of my favorite feelings, to hover over a black void. It's as if we can feel the call of the cave. But time to turn the dive. By the way, once again, notice the razor-sharp edges on the cave walls. These could not only wreak havoc to the line, but also to the dry suit of a careless diver. The way back is straightforward, and before long we are back at the mouth of Le Cunhac, where we work our way up the gravel slope and into the murky, yellow water of the Lot River, where we make a few habitual safety stops. This was a darker dive for sure, but nevertheless a cool adventure. If you're into scuba diving or you enjoy learning about the underwater world, make sure to subscribe to the DiveSAGA channel and like the video.